Well, crime is rocking cities all across the nation, and it is causing many Americans to feel on edge, even in their own neighborhoods. In a recent poll, 40% of us said they're scared of walking alone at night within just 1 mile of their own homes. David Spunt with more on the growing fear. David.
Hi, Tammy. Whether it's the streets of Washington, D.C., where I am right now, north to Philadelphia, west to Chicago, even further west to San Francisco, there are concerns about a rise in crime across the country. Many police departments believe that it has increased since the pandemic. You mentioned that Gallup poll, 40% of these people, to show you a little bit, would you be afraid to walk alone at night within 1 mile of your home? In 1993, it was 43%. It dipped down. Right now, we're at 40%, the highest it's been since 1993 in 30 years. In Washington, D.C., police have recorded 249 homicides this year. That's a 35% increase compared to last year. The district has not seen this many murders in 2 decades. Now, looking at some of these D.C. statistics, 35% increase in homicides, a 67% increase in robberies. Motor vehicle thefts, Tammy, up 96%. And since we're in Washington, D.C., of course, both sides of the aisle continue to blame each other. Watch.
We've been very serious on dealing with the crime that we have seen just across the country, and we'd love to work with Republicans on this. They have not been serious on this. The president, again, put forth the American Rescue Plan, signed that into law, put billions of dollars into communities to help mayors and governors deal with crime in their city and their states.
But according to our new Fox News poll, Democrats receive 41% when asked which party would do a better job on crime. Republicans beat Democrats 53%. But regardless of party, crime is a problem, no matter if you're Republican or Democrat, independent. And there are a lot of concerns from police departments about some of these district attorneys across the country and some of those policies, because police departments, the FBI, whatnot, can only arrest people. It's up to the DAs to actually make sure that people stay behind bars. Back to you.
Right. David, thank you. You know, Kara, this is what's fascinating, is that it is about party, because this is about policy, right? This didn't just get delivered by leprechauns, my favorite delivery service. It doesn't happen that way. So it's not just about what DAs will charge, but it's police knowing what the policies are and whether or not it's worth the policy with these revolving doors. So you have this, and I think that local news is key as well. We know what national news shows, you know, with the problems in these large blue cities, but like inflation, people in their own neighborhoods watch the local news. They see what's going on locally. If you're especially afraid because you live in a blue city, you're not going to be inclined to answer more of these polls. But isn't that what we're dealing with, is a personal experience that especially women are having, and so close to home? Normally is not the issue, but it is now.
Completely. And it's funny, our offices are just a few blocks away from where David was standing there. And I wouldn't even say it's just at night. During the day, I get worried. I used to go to lunch. I used to traipse around Capitol Hill. Not so much anymore. My head is on a swivel wherever I am. I'm very concerned about my personal security. And I never, pre-pandemic, you have a cognition of it, but you never really think about it in a way that's so immediate. So I was a little worried about him doing that hit there, not looking behind him. However, you're right. I expect to see that number much more lopsided, because it seems that leftists and leftist policies, they never connect their ideology to the outcomes of their policies.
That's so convenient.
Yeah, yes. And they'll keep voting leftist. They'll keep voting to defund the police. The DC police force is short 500 members this year. That is a massive problem, and we're seeing it on our streets, not just at night, but in the day too. Regular day-to-day life. It's changed.
And this is what we see when it comes to even the defunding the police, Molly, the nature of how many police there are, if they're empowered and if local politicians have their backs. We see this trend moving through, so it's psychological as well.
Absolutely psychological. And part of what's going on is the government keeps giving us these numbers and saying, hey, it's not the high of the 1990s. It's needed. Well, at least it's not as bad as the 80s. And it's all in your head, but people don't think it is, because they go into stores, they see the products locked up. We see the videos of the smash and grabs, and people don't feel safe. So telling us that numbers aren't as bad as they were in the bad days of the 80s and 90s doesn't offer any sort of solace, particularly, and you raised a great point about the gender gap. women are more likely to be concerned about walking alone at night than men are. So there's a deep unfairness.
We normally were. I mean, that's like a normal kind of state, no matter what's going on, because of the situation and that dynamic. And to your point about the argument that the numbers are better, this is like apples and oranges. When you've got a different, if you're not even having people arrested or on the books, crime is going to unnaturally and artificially look lower than what was happening, let's say, in the 80s when we were arresting people. It's like, baseball today and versus Babe Ruth. What Babe Ruth accomplished without steroids and without other things, you can't compare the two.
Yeah, the metrics don't work. And, to your point about women, we have to talk about in New York City about the subways, okay? That's the lifeblood of this town. And I can tell you, there's all kinds of subtle ways that safety engenders prosperity. And the reverse is true as well. For instance, I know a lot of people in the nightlife industry, they can't get people, particularly women, to work anymore because they can't take the subway late night, which means they close 10, 11 o'clock. So there goes the city that never sleeps, all right? And that's just one subtlety. It's no accident that 1993 is the year that's name-checked there. That's the year that broken windows policing began.
Right.
And it worked. And there's this big movement in academia these days to discredit broken windows policing, and it goes to what you were saying, Kara. They just completely disconnect cause and effect. But let's recognize something. It's going to get worse, okay?
Well,
we're going down in cops. We're closing jails, especially here in New York City. So let's see how it works, folks. You wanted this, here it comes.
And budgets are affected. Nicole, you see this as a doctor. You see the what women are coming in with, situations on the street. But just as a professional woman, going back and forth from home, having to go in, you're not going to be a doctor from your den. What's your take?
Well, listen, I think more, not just because I'm a doctor or a mom or a woman, but just as a human. I mean, we're all seeing a rise in crime, not just in the big urban cities, like was mentioned, New York and San Francisco, but even in our small communities, we're seeing rise in crime, auto thefts, and others. And it really has been since 2020, since COVID. And what happened with COVID? A lot of things happened with COVID. You have a rise of mental illness, and now you have a lot of people who are not economically stable because of what happened during COVID, and then the inflation that has subsequently happened since, and it's not really correcting as fast as it should. Everything is more expensive. So when people are out stealing and doing other crimes, they steal either because they can't afford it or they're looking for the thrill of it. And if we cannot punish those that are out for the thrill of it, then we are sending the message that it's okay to keep doing it. You have to be tough on crime.
It becomes a contagion when you see that there's no repercussion as well. Great points, you guys.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.